Meditation for tonight is Psalm 90. We entitled this The Prayer of Moses for Mercy. So this psalm is about, as what he said, the prayer of Moses. It recites the wretched condition of man if we just allow our hearts to rest in the world alone. But it also reminds us the upcoming judgment seat. And then it shows us that the children of God as well have experienced sorrow. So biskan anak sila, chosen one sila, nag-agi man sila sa miseries. And now, how did they respond? What is their prayer? So how did they ask for mercy and grace in their sorrows? We also know that they experienced deliverance from Egypt. Ginawa sila sa bondage, sa political ruler as well as spiritual symbol of sin and darkness. So how they experienced deliverance and the joy that went along with it. But later on, nagbugnaw, they have become ungrateful, and they were consumed by discontentment in the wilderness. So how did Moses beseech God in the wilderness for him to deal gently and merciful to the people of Israel? So we can see some key phrases here from key verses. Verse 1 says, "Lord, you have been our dwelling place in all generations." So he began his prayer by recognizing nga samtang ara sila sa wilderness, wala sila permanent dwelling place, wala sila permanent home and abode. He says, "Lord, you are our dwelling place." This reminds us, that he magnifies the grace also of permanence, the grace of adoption. Because ang adoption, when you say adoption, it means that you are permanently a child, you are permanently having a relationship, an inheritance, a father or a mother that won't be severed anymore. So that God will continue the grace that He displayed on the patriarchs. Okay, so He magnifies this, the grace of adoption. And then He also declares that they are always pilgrims and wanderers, and God is always their dwelling place. So again, this is in contrast sa ilang sitwasyon dito sa desert nga they are wanderers, they are pilgrims, and that there is one home for them. So just like us, just like them, we are wanderers in the earth. We have no permanent home. We are just pilgrims. And there is no place else that we can call our permanent home than God Himself. Let's remind ourselves, na anuman kanami sa aton diri nga balay, anuman ka 30 years to pay man anaton sa pag-ibig or sa bangko, 20 years, let's remind ourselves that these are but temporary and these are not permanent, and that our permanent home is God Himself. That the condition of our life here on earth is nothing but unstable. Even Israel, they are children of Abraham. They are God's chosen ones, but they have recognized that this life is unstable. It was necessary to find a place of stability and surety. So muna nga, ang aton ding kabuhi is temporary, it's not permanent, but let's find something that we can hold on as stable and sure foundation. And in their wanderings, they were exposed to threats and terrors, but as pure fugitives, God was their abode. Muna siguro kiti sila to pagwander, they faced the Amalekites, the Goliaths, the Palestines, and the other enemies sang promised land. But again, they remind themselves na even though ay sila gani kasulod, even Moses himself was not able to enter the promised land. He reminded, he forecasted, he gave this word that no matter what, whether we have a home or not, you are our home. Diin gid bala ang imo balay, diin ka gid bala gapuli. So, it begins with that stark reminder. And then it says, before the mountains were brought forth. Okay, that is in verse 2. Or ever you had formed the earth and the world, from everlasting to everlasting, you are God. So, Moses reminds, or here God is contrasted with created beings who are subject to continual changes. So, there is nothing stable under heaven. So this one, first ginremind niya home, next ginremind niya ang permanence. Okay, ang permanence ni God kag ang temporariness sa creation. There is nothing stable under heaven. Everything here is changing. It's not permanent, no? Kumbaga nila, the only permanent thing is change. Okay? And that we may not judge God by our own fluctuating condition, but He is placed in a state of settled tranquility. So, ang ginambalin nga, before the mountains were brought forth, meaning, kung ang mountains hindi gani na giho, no? They are so permanent and stable, God is even more stable than them. Okay? He is not subject to alterations. Okay? Okay? God is not subject to changes, but He Himself is the one that makes changes. In dealing with us, He is steadfast in power, in truth, in goodness, and in His promises. This is also in contrast with the idols. Okay, if we run after idols of our lives, if we run after idolatry and things of the world, let's not expect that they will remain true. They will remain as they are, because people change, idols change. Okay, if you rely on someone, okay, if you rely on someone's promises, then if there's no God, if there's no grace, then we will just fail. We will just be frustrated, no, sang mga pagbag-ubag-o sang mga tao kag sang mga bagay sa mundo, no? And then verse 3 and 4, you return man to dust. Okay, and then it further says, thou shalt turn man to destruction. Okay, and shalt say, return ye sons of Adam, or sons of man, for 1,000 years are as yesterday, and as a watch in the night. So here we can see that Moses mentions how frail and miserable the life of man is. Okay, this is subject to destruction. Okay, God subjects man to ending. Okay, and this serves as a reminder of our frailty. So we will not lift up our eyes okay, only in the world, but above the world. So where does foolishness of men proceed? Nga naga-foolish ang taong kaysa, because we are only trapped by the present state of existence and affairs of this life, as if we were to live here forever, no? So kung hindi ta na madumduman nga we are just here but a moment, we will just be trapped on thinking of the now and here and now. I think just share the term for that. Ang word gabal ang secular, no? Secular means the here and now. Okay, and I think that's the sadly the mindset, no, the worldview of a lot of people right now. It's just secularism, meaning what's here and what's now, it's what important. What's coming and what's not here, no, is not so worth of thinking about. So muna ang hambal diri ni Moses, sang writer is i-remind ta kuno nga dugay-dugay we will be destroyed, no, we will die, and we will be called, okay, tawgon taliwat, magbalik na. Kag ang sa Ginoo, 1,000 years is just like a watch in the night, do kumbaga overnight lang na, no? So sa Ginoo, dasig lang yang 1,000 para sa aton nya do kadugay-dugay na gid. But let's remember that God is not bored, no? God is not subject to waiting, because He Himself is above time. We flatter ourselves if our thoughts only remain in comparison with other men's life. This is the reason why Moses elevates our minds to the eternity of God, that we may perceive the shortness of our life and how it will quickly pass away. So, ang gusto ni Moses diri nga ibutang tangaton nga panguna-una, not only in the duration of a lifespan of man here on earth, but to elevate on the what's beyond and what's not included in the lifespan, because what's in the lifespan will just quickly pass away. Moses elevates the minds of men to heaven, so we will withdraw from our own gross worldly conceptions. And then verse 5, thou carriest them away as with a flood. Okay, it's like life is sometimes like a flood, no? If you have been to Lahar, or if you have been to during Frank, no, there were areas that, yesterday ara pa na, but because of the flood, when you come back, why na? Amo man ang life, no? First man na, we know someone nga buhi pa. Uy, dusong sa numan to, do kapag sikmon to sa iya, no? But subong why na siya. That's life, no? It's like a flood. It's here today, but but here today and gone tomorrow. Muna lang kanta, no? Who am I, no? Here today and gone tomorrow, like a flower quickly fading, and like a vapor in the wind, no? Silang kanta nga, who am I? And as sojourners, we only perform a revolution that lasts only for a moment. So, miskan maging revolutionary ka pa, miskan maging si Jose Rizal ka pa, no? Miskan daw maging si Andres Bonifacio ka pa, the movement that you will create will just be only for a moment, no? Ano mo lang tuman, no? Ang ano ni Rizal nga dito magpa-under sa mga mananakop after ginsakop mo tagyapon. After bakig bato sa mga Espanyol, ginbaligya mo lang tagyapon, no? O nati baligya man sa Amerikano, yung yatag man sa mga Hapon, no? So, even if you lead a revolution, yes, the world will remember you as a hero, but everything is just short, and maybe some people will forget it after a while. So death is compared to a flood that may come at any moment. If we build everything on earth, the flood may take them all away in one instance. We are compared to a grass also, so not just like a flood, but even like a grass, which is here, but then no more, no? It decays and is withered. Verse 7, for we fail by thy anger. Ang keyword na, no? We fail. Sa ilang kaakig, nagapang perdi kita, nagaluya kita. So Moses combines the shortness of life with God's anger. He wants men to be in touch with the reality and to earnestly consider the fact of passing away and facing God. So hindi lang yung life is short, but even God's judgment is sure. No? Facing God, and it's a sure thing. In verse 8, thou hast set our iniquities before thee. Nga mo ni gina-remind niya kita nga short ang life, pero matubang pagit kita sa Ginoo, kaga nga aton nga mga sala iset na before sa aton, sa iya, no? Matubang kita, ma-hold kita accounting, no? I-account kita sa aton nga life. He shows that God's anger, no matter how terrible, is just because of our iniquities. The true way to profit now. So, ang anger niya na sa Ginoo, ang point there is, yes, gaakig ang Ginoo, but that anger is not without point, no? Or without basis. Justified ng anger sa Ginoo because of the iniquities that we have done. So, the true way to profit is to feel and see that He is a righteous judge. Okay? Amuning gusto nga response, no? Nga may judge sang sining life and afterlife. Man vanishes like a smoke, and God pursues us with His wrath. Verses 9 to 10, for all our days are passed away in thy indignation. Ang pag-reminder ni Moses balang ang life, we will have the surety of God's judgment, no? Sure, sigurado ginaya nga may judgment sulihin. But again, kung isulod na dira ang gospel, salamat kita that because of Christ there's no more condemnation, there's no more indignation. Okay, His terror is not only for a short time, but even extends even unto death and after death. Gina-remind kita diri that there is an after death and an afterlife. Okay, and without Christ there is judgment. So in the days of our years there are 80 years and 10. So gin specific pag ideya ni Moses, no, or sang writer ang lifespan, which is 60 plus 10, no? 80 is 60 and 10 is, so 70 tanan. Amuning average lifespan sa tao. And Moses uses this expression to divide life into smaller portions, or to give an accurate specific number. Otherwise, we will flatter ourselves that life is long. Okay? Let men extend the space of their life as much as they please, yet for sure, they will find that the term of 70 years is short. Okay? In other words, damo-damo ang tao ang ga-attempt nga magpalaba sa ila life. Well, some are successful. They can live up to, let's say, 120, 130. Like sa Methuselah, I think, no, if I can remember my Bible trivia quiz, no, 900, if I'm not mistaken, 900 plus. Okay, basta the longest Bible. Let me quickly. Okay, ito sila 969, no, the oldest man. It is still short, no? No matter how actually may movement subong sa earth, sa kalibutan nga they want to live long, longevity of man's life, mga research na subong. In fact, sang dobra ko sa isa ka healthcare company, ang expectation by 2050, no, ang lifespan sang Pilipino maging longer than the current one. So because maybe of the advancement sa medicine and even sa consciousness naton sa diet, amo na nga malaba gyud ang lifespan sa tao. But even then, okay, life is still short. Okay, verse 11, who knows the power of thy anger? Ang niari naman niya, nga short ang life, but sino ang kabalo sang imo kaakit? Moses again returns to speak of the peculiar afflictions of the Israelites and compares them to slaves who are rebellious and have no fear of their master. So nagapinagusto na lang sila sa ulihin na, no? Mga doga pakasalat na lang sila. This means that when God hides himself, men are inflated with pride and rush upon sin with recklessness. Nagapinagusto na lang, but when they feel how dreadful his wrath is, they forget their pride and are reduced to nothing. Ang pagkilala sa anger sa Ginoo amo nang naga-cripple sa aton pride, no, nagapa-humble sa aton. Para sa Israelites nga gin bakol sila sa Ginoo, gin sakop sila sa Babylonians, no, gin destroy ang ilang nation, that destroyed their pride. And the same as with us, no, ang kanami lang gid bala sa tao nga kung magabot ang mga trials, ma-recognize ta bala nga that is God's trials to us. Ang grace ng Ginoo through us nga ginapabalik kita. 1 Peter 1:7, judgment begins at the house of God. So this means that God may pamper the unbelievers with the good things of life, but sends troubles to his chosen ones, because he says, when whom he loveth, he chasteneth. So it doesn't mean kung ginamay mga trials kasubong God doesn't love you. Remember this, that sometimes ang trial sa mo pa na ganing way nga palangga kasi ang Ginoo kay ginapabalikan niya, no, sa iyang presence. May ang kasubo lang nga ginapuno na lang kasang blessings, sang good health, sang money, sang fame, sang power, nagsikat ka na, nagpanggaranon ka na, nami ng tanan-tanan sa imo, and the curse is that you forget God. Okay. And that is actually, no, something that it's true, no? Judgment begins at the house of God. 1 Peter 7. In other words, the anger of God it begins, no, sa mga iya-anak, because he doesn't want them to go astray. So ang nakasalamat kita kung kaisa magpalayo ka ang anger sa Ginoo gapa sa imo, because he doesn't want you to go astray. Verse 11, who knows again? So knowing God's anger is a form of grace, because not all people truly feel and awe in God's anger. Though the unbelievers are severely punished, they are hardened against all calamities. They are far from feeling God's presence. Ang kasubo lang kay ang mga unbelievers kung ipunish sila sa Ginoo, they don't acknowledge it as from God, no? They would say, maybe they will call it as malas, no? Kung ang ilan ginamalas-malas ka ni, or some people may even become bitter, no? But the grace of God is when we recognize it as a grace na ginapabalik ka. Unbelievers may cry aloud, but God's anger do not penetrate their hearts and abate themselves in pride and fierceness. So hindi ta na ma-recognize ang anger sa Ginoo, maging proud na lang kita. Pero kung ma-recognize ta, oops, do disiplina na ko sa Ginoo, then humble down. Tunlo ng pride and magbalik loob kumaga, no? Only the mind of the godly are wounded with the wrath of God and recognizes his hand. Amo na gina-question gid ni sang writer, no, ni Moses. Sino ba lang nakabalo sang imo anger? The power of thy anger. Okay? Kay kung hindi, ang iban di way kabalo eh. Way gid kabalo nga yan sang Ginoo. Sabi nila yan malas-malas lang na. Sabi nila tungod lang na sa rotation sang earth sa sun, no? Sabi nila tungod lang na sa global warming, no? Sabi nila tungod lang na sa COVID, no? Tungod lang na sa China, sa dinto, mga country. Well, at the uttermost, at the ultimate analysis, just remember that everything is from God, no? And then they feel even when God, so ang godly naman niya, ang godly is, they are wounded by the thought of God's wrath. They don't wait until God sends thunders. They even feel even when God moves his finger. So, sinong nakakilala? So, parang the conclusion. So, as a response, teach us to number our days. Teach us. Kanami isang word nga teach us, no? Kumbaga do, kung ako palang tawon do ka-humble nga statement. Kaya ang tao kung bugalo niya, kung tikalo, nagambalo na yung why niya ang tao kung tikalo niya, nagambalo na, why niya gambalo na teach us, no? Kay kung ang tao humble, teachable, no? Teachability is a sign of humility. So kung why tagapatudlo, we are proud, no? I mean, that's what Moses is saying. So teach us to number our days. And numbering our days is wise, no? It's a wise thing because foolish people don't think, don't number their days. They think they're gonna live forever. Kumbaga mo na. They're gonna live for long and there's still tomorrow, no? There's still next 2 years and next 5 years. But Moses says, teach us to number our days so that we may apply our hearts to wisdom. As Moses perceived that these things cannot be comprehended until God's Spirit shines upon, he sets himself to prayer. Children start learning numbers when they first begin to talk, and we don't need a teacher to teach us how to count on our fingers up to 100. But it's a shame that we don't understand how short our lives are. So, kabalo ang bata mag-isip, but it's foolishness kung hindi ta kabalo mag-isip sa aton kabuhi. Even someone who's really good at math and can count millions of things can count how many years they'll live. So, muna, foolishness, mathematician, pero why gaisip sa niya kabuhi, years. So, it's weird that people can measure how far things are in space, but they can't figure out how long they have to live. That's why Moses asked God for wisdom to understand this. He thought that we truly become wise when we understand how short life is. So, ang point lang din ni Moses is, namudamang wise men, kabalo sila mag-isip stars, kabalo sila mag-isip sa mga physics, inertia, velocity, mga ano pa ang mga formula, but they don't know how to count life, days of life, years of life, and apply wisdom into it. So only people who believe in God and know that we were created for a better life after we die understand that we should do with our lives. And we can't live our lives well unless we know we'll die one day and aim for a better life after that. So, amunang wisdom that if we know that we will die someday, we will know how to live. Again, luton ko if we know that we will die, we will know how to live better. Verse 13, last, return, O Jehovah, how long? So this is a prayer. Asking God to be kind to His people who have been punished for a long time. No, na sila sa punishment. Even though God shows them love, being kicked out of the promised land is a tough reminder that they don't deserve it. Moses asks God how much longer they have to suffer and begs for God to show them mercy. The word return, return, O Jehovah, in this context means that God shows His love and grace. And the word repent means to change one's mind or to be sorry. But in this case, this means that God should change His ways and shows His people kindness. The psalmist compares God's love to a father's love for his children, so being pacified or propitious means that God should show His love and be kind to His people. So meaning, Lord, how long? Return. This means nga mag-Lord pakitloy kami sa imo. So in other words, count your days and Lord have mercy on us is the response of Moses. Thank you. God bless.